Hello and welcome to the English Systeme podcast. It's lovely to meet you. My name is Natasha Pinto. I'm brand new here, new girl on the block, and I'm here to talk about everything entrepreneurship, digital marketing, and online business. We all start somewhere, so if you're starting with Systeme.io, this is a really smart first step. Joining us today is our first guest, Olivier Roland. He's an entrepreneur, a blogger, a YouTuber, an avid reader and book reviewer, a pilot, globetrotter, international speaker, and now he's also the author of this new book that you've just had translated into English, I hear, and is going to be released soon, called The Way of the Intelligent Rebel. Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Before we get into your book, can you give our audience a little bit of background about you? Like what got you started? Happy to do that?
Sure. So I started entrepreneurship very, very early because I left school at 18 to start my first company. It was an IT business, And for a few years, I was so happy to have started this company, because I wanted to create my own path in life, I didn't want to do boring studies and that I didn't know what they were for, I just wanted to go as fast as possible in the real field. And I was very happy to be my own boss and to basically, experience a degree of freedom that most of my friends couldn't have at this time. But after a few years, I realized that these companies that I created, I was working a lot into it. I was working like 60, 70 hours a week.
That's crazy.
Like most entrepreneurs, I was not like an exception. And I realized that I was like maybe 24 at the time. And I was like, hey, I would like to have more balance now between my personal and professional life. It was fun to work that hard for the first years because, it's your company is your baby. And I had this sacred fire inside me and I just wanted to succeed and it was fun. But I was like, wow, no, I would like to, just relax a little bit more and have a bit more balance. And I realized that actually it was hard because my business was my only source of income. I couldn't see how to really lower the amount of hours I was putting in without, make the business not lucrative anymore. And I had a small team. We were a company of 3 people, but I didn't see how I could hire more people or sell the business. And basically, like, bottom line is I realized this business I created to be free was actually a jail. And I couldn't quit it, stop it, or work less. I didn't know how to do it. And it was a big shock for me because I was like, wow, I created this business to be free. And actually it's a jail I created for myself. And I look for solutions for a few years. And then I stumbled upon a book called The 4-Hour Workweek by Ferriss. And this book completely changed my life because it basically showed me the way, of how to have a business that is in service of your life instead of your life being in service of your business.
No, that makes complete sense. Because after like a 70, 80 hour work week, I'm sure 4 hours looked very attractive.
Right. Yeah. So, for 4 hours is just like the title, it's not a goal per se, but the goal is to be able to work less and enjoy life more. So following this book and other books, I managed to be more efficient in my business. And I also started another business on the internet. That is the business I was doing right now. And now, fast forward to 2020, so 2021. So 21 years after I created my first business, now I travel 6 months a year on average. I've been traveling 6 months a year for the last 10 years, except 2020 because it was a bit different, right? I help thousands, like tens of thousands of people every month. I make more money than I could ever dream of, and I have a lot of time and freedom to do whatever I want. So, yeah, that's what I teach my audience, my people to do. First how to create your business and how to grow it, and never forget that it's important to have balance in life. So how to make sure you're not a slave to your business, but a master of your business.
Oh, no, that's fantastic. And I'm sure entrepreneurs just starting out must really appreciate that, so that they don't have to go through that like 10 years where you spent working your butt off at a business to feel like you're a slave of it. Okay. And then can you crunch some numbers for us? So like, how much were you making in your initial business when you kind of felt like you were putting every little bit of blood, sweat, and tears into it? And then now, how much do you make that you've got these two businesses and so much more time on your hands?
Yeah, so basically the first business was making around 230,000 euros a year, and now the business is making around 2 million a year. So it's a 10x, it's more or less a 10x, but with way less hours, and I mean it's way better. I didn't calculate revenue per hour, but I'm sure it's like through the roof. It's way better than 10x.
Yeah, no,
and of course I have this geographic freedom too, because my first business was a brick and mortar business, and the new one I have is entirely on the internet, so I can basically travel and live wherever I want, and I use this freedom a lot.
Okay, what are some of the most interesting places you've traveled to? Because now that you've got this newfound freedom, yeah.
Well, that's a great question. So there are so many interesting places in the world, but I would say I really love El Nido. It's a small town. It was a village. No, it's more a small town in Palawan. Palawan is an island in the Philippines. It's like the archipel. It's like magnificent. Like turquoise water, turtles, white sand beaches, and it's becoming more and more touristic, but it's still okay. It's still okay. It's not too much, and you can find like very traditional Filipinos villages like very close, and it's crazy. Some of them still don't have electricity, so you're like a bit in the past, but also you're connected to the internet, and it's crazy. What else? I really love a place called Jericoacoara in Brazil. It's one of the best spots for kite surf in the world, but it's cool. Also an amazing small village in the middle of a natural reserve. So you have wild horses roaming around, and you have, it's just beautiful nature, beautiful people, and good atmosphere. Right now I live in Dubai, which is a city, I'm so happy to be there, I love to go to remote places from time to time, but I love to live in a big city because I need a lot of intellectual stimulations, and Dubai is perfect for this. And for a globetrotter like me, it's like, for a world traveler, it's perfect because you have basically the whole world in one place. It's the most international city I ever saw in my life.
Oh, and it's really nice because you can travel pretty much anywhere from Dubai. It's as easy as getting on a plane. Yeah. Oh, fantastic.
Before I was living in London, it was also a great hub, but yeah, Dubai is like even better.
Amazing. All right. Fantastic. Can you tell us a little bit more about your new business? So not the brick and mortar IT business, this new one that you've started. What's it all about? What do you do?
So I started a long time ago already. So I started it in 2008. So I started with a blog about books, because when I read The 4 Hour Workweek, it basically changed in 1 week, and my vision of a job, the job of being an entrepreneur that I was doing for 8 years. So I was like, wow, maybe there are other books that can maybe change my mind on other things. And I began to look for a list of the best business books in the world. And I stumbled upon the Personal MBA, which is such a list. And I started to read the books, and I completely exploded my mind in a good way, and so I was like, wow, if I made this mistake of not reading business books for 8 years, even though I love to read, but I was reading only fiction, I'm sure thousands of other, maybe millions of other people are doing the same mistake. So I basically I started from this frustration I had of not discovering with a comma this technology of books, right?
Yeah.
and just, sometimes it's stupid, but you need just to connect very two simple things, and it completely changed your life. That's what happened to me. I was like, wow, it was also a mistake I made, because I created the business so early, when I was so young. I thought I was so smart. I didn't need to learn anything else, which was very stupid, obviously, right? It was the biggest mistake I made in my business career. to not read any practical books for 8 years. So basically, I created a book called Books That Can a blog, not a book. I created a blog called Books That Can Change Your Life. That's an official English title. It's translated in English for people who wants to see. Just to share the love and show to people, okay, you should read this book and this book and this book if you want to grow your business, And I started with a challenge of reading 52 books in 52 weeks. So one book a week for 1 year, and writing a summary of it. And it really helped start the blog in the French language. And then, I started to grow my business slowly but steadily. And right now I have maybe more than 500,000 people who follow me every month on my different channels. I have a YouTube channel, multiple blogs, the whole ecosystem. And that's also what I teach to my audience, how to use organic free content to create a tribe of fans and customers. I use a bit of ads, obviously, Facebook ads, AdWords, but most of my traffic and leads and sales come from the free content I have been publishing for 12 years right now. And, it never really went out of fashion, even though some people were claiming it was because Facebook ads was more easy. But today, when we see the cost of ads rising up, and it's more and more difficult to target precisely people, the organic content is even more relevant than ever, So people, I saw a lot of fashions in the 12 years I've been in the business. I don't care too much about them. I try to just focus on core principles that work, no matter what. But I see right now there is a fashion of people coming back to organic content. Like, oh my God, like it's like they are discovering this. It has been. It was already there like 20 years ago, obviously, but it's like, oh yeah, it's great because actually you can get traffic for free. That's awesome. And you have more stability too compared to ads. So that's basically what I teach.
Okay, fantastic. That's amazing. And then can you tell us about your book? It's already broken the French market and now you're breaking into the English market, right?
Yeah, so absolutely. In 2012, I was at a point where basically all my wildest dream came true. I was like, wow. So I travel all the time. I have more money than I can spend. I inspire all these people. Great. Now, what is the next step?
Yeah.
And it can be quite a empty place to be, actually. I know it sounds like maybe crazy, but when you're like, okay, wow, I'm so happy, and you can just say, okay, I'm just going to enjoy my life from now. It's fine, But I was looking for another challenge, another way to improve myself, and I was inspired partly by the Maslow's pyramid. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
And basically the two top levels are how to basically realize yourself and give to the world, give to the universe.
Yeah.
And so I have been dreaming of being an author for a long time, and I was like, well, maybe that's what I want to do. Actually, no, that's what I want to do. I want to write my masterpiece, So it's my way of realizing myself. And also I want to write the guide I would love to have when I started my first business at 19, because I made so many mistakes,
Yeah.
So that's how I decided to write the book. And I spent 4 years writing it. And so the title, as I said at the beginning, in English, is The Way of the Intelligent Rebel. And it's basically a book about whose aim is to help all the intelligent rebels in the world. Now, what is an intelligent rebel, you may ask?
Please.
So an intelligent rebel is basically, it can be a student or someone who is already working, and they can have all the external sides of success possible. I mean, you can have like a nice car, a nice house, a nice family, a nice job in a nice company, etc. Or if you're a student, you're doing a great job, and you have great studies, and you're gonna get a great diploma and blah blah blah. But you have a little voice inside you that tells you that maybe there is something else in life, and maybe that's not how you're gonna be the best version of yourself. Maybe it's not how you're gonna express yourself the best. And this little voice, it can be very annoying at some point, and some people decide to listen to it. Some people decide to think it's like a bit of a silly voice and don't listen to it. But most of the intelligent rebels, if they don't follow this voice, they're going to dry from the inside. They're going to basically be a bit sad about it. And for me, the way for the intelligent rebels to blossom, to really be the best version they can be, is to do it has to go through creation. It can be artistic creation, so writing a book, painting, writing a movie, whatever. It can be the creation of an adventure, like doing a world tour for 1 year, for example. And it can be also the creation of a business. So in this book, first, I tell all the intelligent rebels, you're normal. It's fine to feel that way, because more often than not, the intelligent rebels can feel like a misfit. They feel like they are not really part of a good part of the education system or the workplace system. And I try to show them in the book that actually it's normal. It's because the system was not meant for them. There are three parts in my book. Yeah.
Is that little voice what prompted you to decide that you didn't want a desk job in the first place?
Yeah, big time. I mean, to drop school at 18 and start your business at 19, you need to be a little bit in love with freedom, and independence, and a bit crazy maybe too. So, I was so bored in school. I was, like a lot of teenagers, I was dreaming of leaving my parents and having my own life, so I was no different from like millions of people, but I was I didn't know what to do with my life, but I was also very shy. And like a lot of very shy people, I basically took refuge in computers, because it's a fascinating world where you can learn a lot of things, and that doesn't require a lot of human interactions, right? So when I realized I developed skills that made me solve people's computers problems like this, and I was like, hey, man, maybe I could make money. So with a friend, we decided to launch a business and try this idea. And when I saw it was working, I was like, okay, I will stop school and start my first business, because I felt basically I was looking for any way to escape, It was important for me, and I was very lucky to find one way. I was very lucky. So first, I tell the intelligent rebels, it's normal to feel this way. It's normal to feel the want to escape. It's fine. And then I show them how to do it in the best way possible, with the maximum chances of success. And so there are three big parts in the book. The first part is a criticisms of the Western education system. And I show them basically, and I mean, when I say I show, like everything I said is not only based on my own experience and the one of thousands of people I talked to, but also on a lot of scientific studies. There are more than 400 scientific references in the book. And the first part, so I show them that the education system was really invented at the end of the 19th century to have productive people in the industrial society, which is basically the governments wanted, like good soldiers, good factory workers, good employees, So they didn't want people who were thinking too much outside of the box, who didn't respect authority, who were like creating their own path. No, they didn't want that. They were actually very afraid of revolutions, because it was still a thing at the end of 19th century, right? Revolution is the Western world. So the system was not designed for people who are originals, who think by themselves, who doesn't follow the path of others, and these kind of things. And there are a lot of things based in the education system based on this philosophy. Even now, when you look at how a class is organized, it's a bit like in a factory with people, aligned,
seated in rows. I'm a former teacher, so I know exactly.
Oh, okay,
what
so
you
know that.
I know the system quite well.
Yeah, and I mean, the book has a lot of success in the French language, and a lot of teachers came to me and said, "Yeah, we completely agree with you, Olivier, but we cannot do anything because we are part of the system, and I understand that completely." So first part is this criticism of the education system. Second part is great. Now that you see the shortcoming of the education system, and I'm not saying that everything is to be put to the trash. Like some things are good in the system, right? But now that you see the shortcomings, how do you overcome them by yourself? Because if you wait for the system to reform, you will be retired before it will happen, right? So no, don't wait for it. Just take the initiative, and I show them how to do that and how to learn efficiently throughout your life, because today it's super important to learn by yourself and to do it efficiently. And that's also a criticism I make of the education system, is like you can spend 20 years or more in school and nobody teach you how to learn efficiently, which is crazy when you think about it. And also the school system is very bad at implementing the recent discoveries of neurosciences and this kind of stuff on how to learn the best way. And the third part is how to create a business that is in service of your life instead of your life being in service of your business. I'm not saying that all the intelligent rebels have to be entrepreneurs, but I'm just sharing a possible path and how to do it the best way, because I do think that entrepreneurship for most intelligent rebels is really like the golden path. It's like the way they can create their own reality, because when you have your own business, basically you make a lot of rules. It doesn't mean you can do anything you want, but you have way more freedom than a typical employee.
Okay, fantastic. That's amazing. Do you think that your intelligent rebels, if they are still in a more traditional job where they're an employee, do you think they can still kind of hack their education and hack their jobs that's still fulfilling for them?
Absolutely. There are also like some employees who call themselves intrapreneurs, so they're like entrepreneurs inside a company, and some companies allow like quite give a lot of freedom to some teams, to invent products and this kind of things. But also, I mean, as I said, it's just one path, but usually the intelligent rebel will blossom through creation. So if some intelligent rebels are listening right now, still, and you feel it talks to you, just ask yourself what I want to create in life, because the intelligent rebel wants to create in his own path, his own adventure. So ask yourself, what will be my adventure, what I want to create in my life. What is when I listen to the little voice, what the little voice wants to create in the world, and it doesn't have to be a business, okay? But usually you have to create something.
So kind of that like feeling of making your mark on the world, like this is my thing, this is what I've given to the world that'll last longer than me. Totally understand that. And then what is next for you after you release this book into the English market, and hopefully when COVID calms down? Are you planning to travel some more? Do you have a speaking tour?
Yeah, of course. I mean, 2020 was a very special year, obviously. So I'd never traveled so less than last year than for 10 years, But now I'm starting to travel again. I was in Dubai 3 weeks ago. Then I was in Portugal. Now I'm in France. I'm going to Dominican Republic just after, and then Panama, and then maybe Mexico. So yeah, I'm starting to be back in my own life. But I mean, traveling is just one way, one thing I love, but it doesn't have to be this way for everyone. And I can also see, I mean, for 1 year I was more or less settled in Dubai, and I really appreciate it. So I don't think I'm going to travel 6 months a year anymore. Maybe 3, 4, 5, which is already awesome. We'll see.
Okay, so you think maybe last year kind of give you a new view on what balance could be?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think also life is a way to explore life, and what you want is to go through cycles. And I had a cycle from 2000 to 2010 when I was really working a lot in my company and not moving too much. 2010 to 2020, I was traveling all the time, which was awesome. And maybe now I will find a balance that is a bit a mix of the two previous decades.
Okay, brilliant. And then a few more questions. So I know you've read a ton of books. I've read a couple of your reviews on Medium as well. I see you post there. If you could recommend one book to a brand new entrepreneur, someone who's just starting out, they've just come up with like an idea of what they want for their business, what's one book that they should start with?
So someone who already has an idea and wants to start a business. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I will not speak about my own book, right? It's not like the right thing to do. But yeah, the 4 Hour Work Week is basically the book that started my journey on the internet. It's a bit old now, but so you will have to adapt a few tactics and strategies sharing. But the basics, the fundamentals are still very relevant and will be in 100 years. So I would definitely recommend this book to people who are still listening.
Fantastic. And is there a new book that you've just read that you would recommend to people? Something that's just been released?
Absolutely. There is a book called Risk Forward by Victoria Labalme. So it was published just like 2 or 3 months ago. And it's a book, it's a very short book, so you can read it in like maybe 2 hours. And it's about one big ideas that makes a big difference. I think that could make a big difference in most people's life. It's the idea of you don't need to know exactly what you want in life. You don't need to have the perfect plan, the perfect goal to be 100% crystal clear about what you want. You just need to risk forward, which means to move forward. And she gives like the whole philosophy and plan of action for this that I think will unlock a lot of people. Sometimes we are a bit paralyzed because we're thinking too much. We want to really have clear goals and stuff. And it is good to have a little bit of this, but also you want to
keep going and moving. Yeah,
keep going one step at a time. And Victoria does a brilliant job of explaining this.
Okay. And then what's one piece of advice you'd give your 18-year-old self?
Read more books. Read more books. Oh yeah, big time. Read more practical business books and of course, I mean, it's not only reading, it's implementing them, right? But it really makes a big difference. Jim Rohn said, poor people has a big TV and rich people has a big library. So I think it's really, really true.
Definitely. Fantastic. And then finally, a silly question. Can you really fly a plane? Did you go and learn and get your pilot's license?
So my publisher was a bit too much enthusiastic about this because I'm actually learning. I don't have my pilot's license yet, but I did what they call, how do they say in English? Basically, I did a few solo flights, so I can make the plane like take off, do a tour of the airport and then lands, which is good. But the plan is to get the license as soon as possible. Yeah.
That's amazing. So that's one of your hobbies that you get to pursue because you've got all this time on your hands. Amazing. And then I have one more question for you because you're quite focused on like being self-taught, reading all these books, taking all of this information. Is there something that you think people need that can't be taught?
Well, that's a good question. So your question is there something that people need that cannot be taught?
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of things can be taught, but people need to be receptive about it. Okay. So maybe at some point, the thing that cannot be taught is like you have to be willing to learn and to go forward. Some people they don't care, just want to be where they are, and that's it. And that's fine. But it's hard to teach them to do otherwise. So the first skill, if you want to improve and be able to learn from others, is to want it.
Okay, so
and to be open to it.
Yeah, to not be cool with complacency. And then last question, where can our listeners find you? So all your social media tags, I'll also put them in the description when we release the podcast.
Right, yeah. So I have a small English. So most of my content, I publish it in French, but I have a small YouTube channel in English. Maybe it's going to be big one day. We'll see. There is a books about a blog about books in English called Books That Can Change Your Life, and also my website Olivier Roland, the English version. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. So thank you so much for joining me. It's been a fantastic podcast. Quite quick, but I'm getting used to it.
It was great.
And then if anyone is following this podcast on YouTube, click 5 stars and subscribe. If you're on a podcasting app, subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. Systeme.io is a digital marketing software platform that provides you with everything that you need to grow. Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.